Well, hello everyone. I'm Donna Martinez. Welcome to this edition of Locker Room Talk. About 10 days or so from now, the General Assembly will reconvene in Raleigh. And of course, the John Locke Foundation team will be there the entire time, talking to them about policy ideas, ways to advance freedom. Because we know, of course, when we advance freedom, we're advancing opportunity. Leading the John Locke Foundation team is my colleague, Becki Gray, Vice President for Outreach. Becki, I know that you see lots and lots of opportunities, even though this is going to be a short legislative session.
Well, they're saying it's going to be a short
right.
session.
They always say
and
that.
they call it the short session, so we're hoping for that. But, you know, there is, and building on a lot of the reforms that have taken place over the last several years, things that the John Locke Foundation has advocated for over 25 years. You know, we don't know and we won't know until they really get into it. There's always lots of surprises from the legislature.
Sure.
But some of the things that we're looking for, I think that we can anticipate reduced spending. We've seen that really since the Republicans have been in control, that the growth of the state budget has been well below or right at what we would have with the Taxpayer Protection Act. You know, within the single digits, 2.5%, 3% growth. So I think that we're going to see that again. They're committed to that, to keeping the growth of government under control.
And they've got to adjust the budget.
Yes, of course. Yeah, they will. And but you know, there's kind of two sides to the budget. There's the spending side, and then there's also the revenue side.
Right.
So as you reduce the spending, we're also seeing some additional conversations about tax reform. Again, kind of building on what they've done. We know that the corporate tax is going to tick down again in 2017. The personal income rate is going to tick down as of January 1st, 2017. We're also hearing some talk about increasing the standard deduction, or the zero tax bracket, some people call that. That's kind of the break that you get right off the top that you don't pay any taxes on. And of course, low income tax filers benefit more from that.
Sure.
than the
that helps
the
everybody.
wealthy. Exactly. So it helps everybody. Everybody gets a tax break. We've seen that before, and I think they're going to continue along those lines.
Now, you also anticipate a discussion about some energy reform.
Right, yeah, and that, of course, is a conversation that we've started at the General Assembly. We've been talking about this since 2007 at least. Yeah, some additional things that we're looking at, perhaps rolling back the renewable portfolio standard, perhaps looking at some changes to the net metering that the energy companies have to pay for solar renewable stuff. Most of the energy conversations that we're going to be having are going to be around lowering the cost of energy and getting rid of the very heavy subsidized for the renewable energy sources that we have.
With the goal of reducing the electric bills.
Absolutely.
For every household.
Yep. Everybody in North Carolina that uses electricity benefits from that.
I think we all use
I
electricity.
think so, yeah.
Very good. Also, health care. Now, the discussion of health care tends to focus, at least at the national level, on Obamacare. But here at the state level, there are things that we can do regardless of
Absolutely.
Obamacare. You're going to be talking with legislators about those.
Absolutely, and they have made huge inroads. During the last session, we finally saw real efforts, a real plan, Medicaid reform. Medicaid is a huge program. It's about $4 billion in state funding, closer to $14 billion when you put in the federal money, and it's an entitlement program, which means that those Medicaid bills have to be paid before we pay the first school teacher, before we pay the first police officer, before we do any other state spending. That Medicaid bill has to be paid. We're going to see some tweaks to that reform that we saw last session, just to continue to move that down the road towards really getting cost containment, budget predictability, and of course ensuring that those patients get good outcome and the money is well spent. But there's some other things that we're going to be looking at. I think certificate of need will be addressed, removing that, which will increase access, put more of a market flavor and market forces at work in healthcare. We're also hearing some discussion of direct primary care, which is kind of a new concept, but one that is huge cost savings, and what it means for taxpayers is perhaps reduced cost if we can figure out a way to implement this into the Medicaid program or for our state health plan.
A lot of things going on, and of course you basically live at the General
Pretty
Assembly
much,
during
pretty
this
much.
session.
Yep.
The great thing is you can follow Becki on Twitter because she is a fiend on Twitter. Tell us how they can follow you.
It's at Becki Gray, Becki. Gray, and I am. And to keep up with the committee meetings and what's going on and the things that kind of behind the scenes, almost a minute-by-minute account that I'll be doing on Twitter all during the legislative session.
And I would strongly encourage you to do that. It's great information in real time to follow Becki. Also, you can follow the John Locke Foundation at John Locke NC. Now, if you're interested in our policy battle plan for the session, be happy to send that to you. Just shoot me an email, dmartinez@johnlocke.org, or give us a call, 866-JLF-INFO, JLF Info. I'll put that in the mail to you. Becki Gray, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching this edition of Locker Room Talk. I'm Donna Martinez.